this is a story that you have been covering forever. What are you seeing today? And give us a context of what is happening today versus what your experience shows you.
Jose, well, for a lot of us who are in Eagle Pass right now reporting, we can say this is the largest group of migrants we've ever seen in Eagle Pass in the years that we've been reporting in this area. Now, for context, I think we need to understand that a lot of migrants were in Mexico for the last few months or years. And in late October, we saw large caravans move through Mexico. So many of us expected this new surge at some point, either in November or at some point in December, and we are now seeing this. We're seeing large groups of migrants that are arriving, not just here. It's happening in Arizona. It's happening in parts of California. It's happening in different parts of the border. Again, these are migrants that had been in Mexico for a long time. There's issues in Mexico, Jose. As you know, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, the president, is reaching the end of his presidency. The Federal Immigration Agency there going through so many issues that they've essentially stopped policing many of the areas in the country. I've spoken to my contacts in South Mexico who say many of the migrants are telling each other now is the time to go to the U.S.-Mexico border. So you look at this field. We have about 2,000 or more migrants. Over on the right-hand side, we still see lines of migrants that are still arriving. Everything down this line, there's lines going down the river of migrants that just cross and are being brought into the field. And then you have the people that slept here overnight. By the way, this was like this on Monday. It was like this on Tuesday. It's still a large number of migrants because as they're being processed, more are coming in. You see them holding those aluminum mylar blankets to try to stay warm in the cold weather. And then over on the right-hand side, Jose, we have CBP officers trying to process them as fast as possible. What you see here are the groups that are getting ready to be loaded on to buses. You mentioned that the Federal Bureau of Detention is now helping. Here we go. This is one of the buses that is being used to transport these migrants. So you have an entire system being created here in this holding area, Jose, where essentially it's too big for them to do it anywhere else. So they chose this field, and this is what's happening. Authorities, of course, overwhelmed. Now, we also know that the bridge that's used for the railroads has been shut down here and in El Paso. We're told that the agents that normally police the railroads crossing into the U.S. are now focusing on processing migrants. So that's happening here in Texas. Again, Jose, as I mentioned, we have situations like this in other parts of the border. Arizona is also overwhelmed with a number of migrants. So important to keep in mind that tens of thousands of migrants are in Mexico. They had been waiting for months to make their way north. Something changed in Mexico with the immigration system, with a lack of enforcement. The government there, federal authorities focusing right now on other issues that are happening in the country, and many migrants are now arriving, and we don't know when this surge might stop. We know that some of these trains have stopped crossing into the U.S., and usually a lot of them come on these trains, so perhaps that might slow down the flow of migrants. But what we know is that there's still many more in Mexico attempting to make it to the U.S.-Mexico border, Jose.